I've had a long-standing love affair with this song, and even if you don't recognise the title of the song, I'm absolutely sure you will recognise the tune because it's been used in countless films and TV programmes. Hi! Today's in-depth tutorial is the quintessentially beautiful Handel aria Ombra mai, also known as Handel's Largo of Love. I'm Lois. I've been singing since I was 3, and my tutorials are the most in-depth tutorials that you'll find online. And my mission is to keep on providing these tutorials free of charge because I had a lot of help in my career. And if you could show your appreciation perhaps by clicking all of the buttons, that's payment enough for me. Ombra mai is from Handel's beautiful opera Xerxes, and the opera actually opens with this scene, and Xerxes' picture the scene is the young, handsome, extremely powerful and wealthy king of Persia, and he sings this song to a beautiful plane tree, which is his go-to place when he's feeling a little bit troubled. And that applies to me and many people as well. I love to be out in nature when I've got things that I need to think through. And this is clearly what Xerxes does too. And of course, it's called Handel's Largo of Love because it's him expressing his love of this beautiful tree. But it's also a precursor to finding out that, as with all opera, he's basically in love with the wrong woman. I'm going to click the beats because it's important for you to know how long the first note lasts for. So it starts on beat 2. So it goes 1, Ombra mai, off, and a breath there, and then you've got 2 bars of instrumental, and then a big breath. Vegetabile, breath. Cara edamabile, breath. So ave più, breath. Ombra mai di vegetabile, cara edamabile, soave più, breath. Cara edamabile, ombra mai breath. Di vegetabile, breath. Cara edamabile, breath. Soave più, and that one has a pause on it, so it's really long. And then breath. Soave più, and off. Translated, it's very simple. You'll have realised that there's a lot of repetition of text in there. Ombra mai there never was a shadow di vegetabile, of greenery or vegetation. Cara ed amabile, soave più, sweeter, soave più. Cara ed amabile, dear and lovable. And that's it. That's the whole text. Don't worry if you didn't get all of that. I'm going to go through the whole aria phrase by phrase in the technical section. But before that, remember to warm your voice up. And my singing tip for this aria is practice your messa di voces, because there are lots of them in this aria. Jump to the link and you'll find that there. I'm going to do this aria in E flat today. That's a tone down from the original key. And I've just chosen that key because it's perhaps a little bit high in the original key for a lot of voices. So this just keeps it a little bit more accessible. Suitable for any voice because of its text, actually. Anybody can love being out in the shade of a tree. So it's not gender specific in any way. And it's in 3/4. It would be great if you've grabbed a PDF. Now, I found a website with a ton of PDFs in loads of different keys, so you should easily find something in a key that really, really works for you. The speed is largo, which means slow. That's why it's called Handel's Largo. And we're going to go at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 today. The first phrase, this foxes a lot of people because it starts off the beat and it's a long held note. So you actually have no option here other than to count the phrase. So I'm going to sing it once. So this is what happens in the bar before, and I'll show you where I breathe so that you can take the breath in the right place, because you need to breathe early because it's a very long phrase, the first one. So this is the bar before we sing. So how did you go with that? You might have not quite got the counting right, and it's totally understandable. So I'm going to do that again because it is a little bit complicated. And then after that, it gets a lot easier. So this is the bar before you come in, and you need to breathe really early. So I'll make that really loud. So this is 1, 2, 3. And you'll have noticed that I did a crescendo through the ombra and then a decrescendo on my fu. So that just gives that first phrase lovely shape. And that's why I suggested practicing your messa di voces. Next phrase. We have 1, 2, 3. Di vegetabile. And we've got a triplet in there on vege. So just make sure that ve and ge are the same E vowel. The vowels will be up on the screen, the Italian vowels are e, I, o, u. Di vegetabile. Then you grab a breath. And here you have ka-raed all on one note, on one crotchet. So you just have to make that crotchet into 2 quavers and put a, e, respectively on each quaver. So ka-raed amabile. And dynamically, we started the ombra mai fu mezzo piano and did the nice shaped messa di voce, and then this next phrase di vegetabile starts mezzo piano, then after tabile we take a breath, and then we do another messa di voce, cara ed amabile, tailing off again. So I'll put those 2 together. Mezzo piano for di vegetabile, cara ed amabile, breath, suave più. So this is the bit that means more sweetly. So it needs to sound as sweet as possible. And I've chosen to go back to mezzo piano, so quite quiet for that phrase. Then the next phrase starts on beat 3. So you've just done 1. Suave più. Breath. Ombra mai fu. So it's the same text as the opening. We've already had the text. But we just have to be careful that it's on my page turn, which makes it doubly awkward, is that is tied again. So it's beat 3 of one bar plus beat 1 of the next bar. So we'll do the soave più again. So it's 1, soave più, ombra mai fu. So that's that whole section covered. We said we were going back to mezzo piano for that little bit. So ave più, ombra mai fu again. We're going to crescendo through the low line. So as you get down to that lowest note, you're going to do a crescendo because it leads into the next section. So we have 1. Suave più, ombra mai fu. Breath. Di vegetabile. Breath. So the text is the same, di vegetabile. You're crescendoing all the way through that phrase. Even though there's a breath in the middle after vegetabile, don't let that make you start quieter after the breath. You need to keep the dynamic up after you've taken the breath in between. And the same rule applies to caraed amabile. It's caraed. So 2 vowel sounds squashed into one crotchet, so you give each one a quaver each. So it goes 1. Di vegetabile caraed amabile. Breath. Suave più. And it's really effective if you go down suddenly to piano at that point. So we've had this big, big, big crescendo, and then for the words more sweet, we go back down to a really quiet dynamic, right down to piano, I think, at that point there. And then the next phrase starts on beat 2. So after più, ca. So you have to maybe make più a little bit shorter than printed so that you've got time to take a big breath for the next phrase. So I would make più a quaver and use a quaver to take a breath before coming in on ca on beat 2. So we've got più, caraed amabile, so you'll see that I'm doing a really long crescendo all the way through that phrase because we're building up to the climax of the song right now. This time Handel has very helpfully written ra-ed on 2 quavers, so you don't have to worry so much about splitting those up because they're on 2 different notes. So he's written that out for us. Just be careful that we pitch the k of ka after the breath. Ka, right on the note. So breath. Caraed amabile, ombra mai fu. And one thing that I haven't talked about that I should have talked about is smooth vowel onset. So every time you have the word ombra at the beginning of a phrase or after a breath, just make sure that it starts with a nice smooth start and not a oh. You don't want that bumping sound because it's really bad for your vocal cords. So we want a nice smooth onset. Ombra mai fu. Keep the crescendo going through fu. Take a huge breath. Pitch the d of di vegetabile up on the high note. Di vegetabile. So di vegetabile is your text there. Pitching the d right there, and we are forte now. Di vegetabile. Breath, mezzo piano. Caraed amabile. Big breath, and we're doing a rit here, so we're slowing down the next phrase, and we're going to go really quiet. Suave più. I attempted to go too quietly, I think, and just lost it slightly. I'm going to try that again. Take your breath. Suave più. Big breath. Suave più. And again, then with the last note, I'm going to crescendo through that because the instrumental takes over from you. It's like you pass on the baton at that point to the orchestra. So for them to be able to grab it and run with it, you need to crescendo through it to really indicate that you're passing that tune over to them. So that is our whole aria covered in technical detail. The next thing for you to do is probably source a backing track in the right key for you, which should be easy. There are plenty of them on YouTube. But for us, we're going to the fun part now and singing through the whole aria together. Before we rush ahead into the fun part, I just need to talk to you about practice and performance. So my singing tip for practicing this aria is practice your messa di voce, because this aria is full of them. So they're the things where you do a crescendo and a diminuendo. And if you just practice them on all those open Italian vowels, so a, e, I, o, u. O is a really important one because that's the first word that you sing. Ombra. And that will have you in great shape for singing this aria. Getting to the performance aspect of this aria now, this is where it's really important to know your background. And I know I push this quite early on in the tutorials because you need to absorb what the aria is really about before you can then communicate it to anybody else. So sometimes just putting on a piece of costuming will help you to channel the character that you want to channel. Now, admittedly, with this aria, this is the King of Persia in 519 BC, and I think most of us would probably be finding it quite difficult to relate to that character. But just put the aria into context for you. I love going out in nature, so all I need to do with this aria, admittedly I've donned my ball gown for today because it's an operatic aria and I felt in the mood, but I just need to think of being out in nature and under some trees, and I can picture those specific places. And I think my tip is, if it's something like that you're trying to imagine how calming it feels, I think about how cool the air is underneath the trees. So that feeling of when you're really too hot and you step into the shade and you just feel instantly cooler, and the smell of clean, pure air, and maybe feeling the grass underneath your feet, you know, walking barefoot in the grass. So they're the things that I think about, and they colour my voice to reflect the meaning of the text. And now for the sing-along. I hope you found this tutorial really helpful. And as always, if you feel that you want a little bit more personal help with this aria or any other aria or song that you're working on, feel free to hop over to singinglessons.online. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3, 1. Thanks for watching.